incredible night for Ron Paul.
Ron Paul wasn't at the debate.
You see, that is exactly the kind of mainstream media bias that Ron Paul has been fighting against this entire campaign. I think anyone who actually watched that debate could tell that the People's Crusader from Texas was the big winner.
The Daily Show, keeping hope alive for Congressman Ron Paul. He didn't really get to face off against John McCain and Barack Obama, but Paul did get to say his piece about the bailout on the House floor, warning that it could destroy the dollar and the global economy. Congressman Paul joins us now live from Clute, Texas. Congressman, great to see you. I was browsing around on your website this morning, Campaign for Liberty, and right there on the very front page, you are appealing to your supporters, and there are tens of thousands of them, to get in touch with key senators to tell them to vote this bill down when it comes to a vote in the Senate at sundown tonight. Why do you want them to vote it down?
Well, I think it's a bad bill. I think it's bad for the taxpayer. I think it's doing more of the same thing. The same policy that we're following now with this bill is exactly how we got into that trouble. And, you know, I really don't have that much clout in Washington, D.C., and I recognize it. But there are a couple people outside of Washington that care about what I'm thinking and care about free market Austrian economics, and they will respond. And I think we did help generate a little bit of mail to the House members. So you go where you can have the influence, and I think the people, the grassroots, understand this a lot better than the members of Congress give them credit for.
So instead of the bills that are currently before the Senate, the one that may be before the House as early as Thursday, what would you do?
Well, we need to do a lot, but it's a lot differently. We have to recognize how we got into this problem. We have too much debt. We have too much malinvestment. We have distorted prices.
So we recognize all of the things that got us here. But right now, today, what would you do, if not this bill?
You have to liquidate those mistakes. Those mistakes were made due to monetary policy, so you have to allow the market to adjust prices downward, and that's what we're not allowing to do. If there are too many houses and the prices are too high, the sooner we get the prices down to the market level, and as soon as we quit trying to encourage more housing, this is what we're doing. They're trying to stimulate houses and keep prices high. It's exactly opposite of what we should do. So we should get out of the way and not buy a bad debt. There's illiquid assets, but most of those are probably worthless. They're mostly derivatives, and we're sticking those on with the taxpayer. So we have to recognize that the liquidation of debt is crucial. And if we did that, we would have tough times. There's no doubt about it, for a year. But if we keep propping a system up that's not viable, we're going to have a problem for a decade, just like we did in the Depression. That's what we're on the verge of doing.
Congressman Paul, what do you think of this idea that's being floated about this process called mark-to-market, which would they would modify the rules so that the right now paper that a lot of these institutions are holding, which is worth nothing, they would actually be able to assign some sort of value to it. Some people are saying that that would just hide the problem. Other people are wondering if maybe that might create some sort of voodoo accounting that would allow widespread abuse in the system. What do you think?
It demonstrates the problem. You know, when they prevented them from marking them down, this was an SEC regulation, shows how regulations backfire. If you had a market economy and if you had a market-adjusted FDIC where insurance was based on the strength of the bank, this would have happened on a daily basis. But instead, we insure everybody, no matter what the bank is doing, and we do it either we overkill, we either give too much credit on bad investments, or then we make changes all of a sudden, and they're drastic to what they have done. So it's impossible. It's either too little or too much, and what you need is insurance, of FDIC type of insurance, has to be driven by the marketplace to measure the viability of a bank.
So what do you then think?
To all the moral hazard that we have in the system.
So what do you then think of this idea of raising the limit on FDI insurance to $250,000 for its current cap, from its current cap of $100,000?
Well, on the short run, it'll calm the markets. People will feel better. I might even personally feel better for a week or two, but I know that long term, it's the wrong thing to do. I opposed this in the early 80s when they went from 30 to 100, saying it would lead to more problems like this of malinvestment. It would cover over the mistakes, and the same thing will happen. But if we raise it to 250, people are going to feel better, but it will keep the bubble going for a little while longer and putting more pressure on the dollar. The dollar lasts longer, then finally the world will give up on the dollar, and then we will have a big problem that nobody has even really begun to think about.
A lot of people might hope that you're wrong with your projection, but
I do too. Yeah. I hope I'm wrong.
You tend to be right about these things on occasion, though. Dr. Paul, it's good to talk to you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.